and welcome to Rising. We have a fantastic show planned for you today, and Briahna Joy Gray is with us here, of course. Hello, Briahna.
Hello, Robby.
And let's get right to the news. What's up first?
Well, Robby, the Daily Beast has released more previously unseen texts sent by Tucker Carlson before his ousting from Fox News. In text sent to fellow host Jesse Watters in December of 2020, Carlson again lamented former President Trump's false claims about the 2020 election. Quote, "It's so sad," Carlson texted. He's going to break some SHIT. He already is. I wish I knew where to run, but I'll die here. In other fall 2020 texts, Baier shared a video clip showing Trump lawyer Sidney Powell tell Maria Bartiromo that Carlson was insulting, demanding, and rude in his insistence that she provide proof of the election being stolen. Carlson replied, "See you next Tuesday." C-U-N-T, the expletive. "I mean it." The Daily Beast said Carlson did not respond to a request for comment, while Fox News pointed to letters it sent to Dominion last week complaining about media outlets obtaining more unredacted documents.
And mainstream advertisers who had avoided Carlson's primetime show are reportedly returning to the 8 p.m. slot now that he is out of the way. According to Variety, mega ad firm Procter & Gamble is now airing ads for female-skewed products like razors, weight loss pills during that hour. Fox's ratings, however, were fairly low for the past few weeks. On Friday, the 8 p.m. hour placed last amongst cable news shows in the key 25 to 54-year-old demo. It was the overall numbers were still significantly higher than CNN's, although MSNBC edged them out in the 8 p.m. hour. So that is interesting, and I think that reflects the stable Fox audience. Yes, they're still there. Their TVs are still on, but for those who believed, Tucker brought young people actually were tuning in for Tucker specifically, there would be some evidence, I think, for that claim that they've departed and are waiting for whatever he does next.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic to consider that while the overall ratings might be down, there might be some more ad opportunities because certain advertisers, regardless of the profit incentive, were unwilling to pay to run ads on Tucker's show because of various controversial subject matter.
Well, my understanding is, and I don't know, but my at a distance understanding of the business model is that cable channels, including Fox, are mainly making their money not necessarily through advertising, but through the fee they're charging for it to be part of a cable package on Comcast or on Fios or whatever it is, which is how they can still be. Because some people say, well, how could even if Tucker has all these people watching, there's no advertisers on his hour. It doesn't matter how many people there's watching, they can't make money off of it, but it has to do with how much they can charge to be part of the cable package, and that gets passed on to people who are paying for the cable package from the cable company.
What do you make of the new ongoing releases about private texts and conversations, et cetera, that Tucker Carlson has been having behind the scenes? I've seen some commentary that says, ultimately, this isn't going to change anybody's opinion about him. It might actually make people think he's even more based. What do you make of it?
Based and red-pilled. Yeah, look, he was calling out Sidney Powell there for being an utter fraud, which is something he did on his show as well. He laid into her when she would not back up her claims about the election. There have been some other drips of, we did talk about this last week while you were on vacation, but the kind of behind the scenes leaked footage that Media Matters kept obtaining. I know some people thought Fox was leaking it to them to make Tucker look bad. Now their Fox's position is that Dominion is leaking it, and they've ordered them to stop doing that. I don't think any of the leaks really added up to much for me personally. It showed, he was trying to, sometimes he was with guests, he was trying to amp them up before he interviewed them. If you had a camera on us in our preparatory part for the show, I don't know that I would want all that footage aired, right?
Sure. I mean, I think the most
we're laughing, we're joking around. It's to
Yeah, I mean,
up the
certainly
energy.
There is a level of informality that exists. One might argue that, a word like, see you next Tuesday
I've never heard that.
I don't know what else to call it right now in the context of us having this conversation on air. But, an expletive for female private part that is often considered to be one of the worst expletives you can use.
Although not for the British.
Right.
It's only a moderate expletive.
Yeah. Fun fact, when I was in high school, the school store, I went to an international school, and the Americans who ran the school store sold fanny packs, which is a perfectly fine thing to say in America, but did not go over well with the British parents, who considered that word to be analogous to the one that I am bleeping out, right?
The word fanny?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
But I want to ask you, though, it's less the kind of colorful language that I think could be a problem for people who are supporters of Tucker Carlson and supporters of Trump, but the statements that continue to demonstrate that Tucker disagreed strongly with Donald Trump about his election denialism. And it does seem like Trump has continued to take that sort of approach as he moves into his 2024 race. And do you think that's going to cause any friction if Tucker does hang up his own shingle, if he does interview Trump going forward, if he is a taste setter in the Republican primary race? What is that going to do to Donald Trump, who he has been broadly supportive of despite the disagreement on election denialism?
Well, look, I really hope Republicans take this to heart. Even someone like Tucker Carlson, someone who is very sympathetic to the MAGA Trump agenda overall, who used his influence in conservative media to push the rest of the party in that direction, to reward political figures who are agreeing with Trump's foreign policy, his economic policy, who wants to move things in that direction. Even someone like Tucker Carlson doing all that knows that the election stuff is like an irritating distraction at best, and is the party shooting itself in the head at worst, because I think he knows and he understands that should be obvious to everyone, that voters do not want to relitigate the previous election. Swing voters, moderate voters, people who are gettable for Republicans, even gettable for Trump, don't want to talk about that at all. They don't agree. They don't care. Even significant numbers of Republicans find it extremely embarrassing that it keeps getting brought up. They think what happened on January 6th is embarrassing. Maybe they don't think it was the greatest crime ever, committed against all of humanity.
Sure.
But it's not something that should be on the agenda. And Tucker knows that, despite agreeing with or wanting to support Trump's agenda in so many other ways. That is not part of the agenda, and people need to get that.
This is what the Dominion lawsuit, the heart of the Dominion lawsuit really revealed. It's that there was this weird, twisted web where Tucker's personal beliefs conflicted with what Fox News apparently believed was the best financial formula to retain viewers and keep their ratings high, which was to accommodate, shall we say, Trump's election denialism. And what we saw from the behind-the-scenes texts, et cetera, is that there was frustration. But even though Tucker Carlson disagreed with Trump on election denialism, he still was critical of Fox News hosts who publicly said as much, because he was participating actively in Fox News' choice to do that for ratings, right? So what happens now that he's out from under Fox News? Does he continue to kind of soft pedal that issue? Does he come out and say, I never wanted to soft pedal that issue. I always strongly disagreed with Donald Trump, and I'm willing to have it out with him in a public sphere? And does that put pressure on Trump that hasn't existed before from one of the most influential people in conservative news to actually change his tune on that particular subject?
I mean, it should. Like, anyone being honest with themselves. I mean, even if you fully believe what Trump is saying about the election, which, to be clear, I do not, whether it's like correct and whether it's good political strategic idea to lean into that are actually different things. Theoretically could be different things. I don't think they're different things, but they could theoretically be. Don't lean into that. And I don't know that Donald Trump is capable of comprehending that, right? He just feels like he's so bruised from the whole thing. He clearly buys into it. But maybe he has advisors telling him, like, stop talking about this. I mean, he hasn't brought it up very much lately. He was interviewed by Tucker at great length in what turned out to be one of Tucker's last shows, and they didn't talk about it very much at all, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it's difficult
maybe
for
he
Tucker.
Has less of a need to talk about it. He's in a difficult
situation, because whatever credit that he might get for not believing in Stop the Steal, he loses for participating in Fox News' choice to go ahead and promulgate that narrative to a certain degree.
You and I have a slightly different view about this. I don't object to bringing people on who made those claims, and then maybe you can argue it should have been done somewhat differently. but he did ask for and when the evidence was not forthcoming, then he skewered those people.
So what do you make then of Tucker's choice to behind the scenes call for a Fox News reporter who publicly disagreed with the Stop the Steal narrative to be fired?
I mean, maybe it wasn't appropriate for that employee to object in the way they did. I think he was upset specifically about their social media behavior towards Sean Hannity.
This wasn't some unhinged, personalized social media rant. This was a journalist saying, I disagree with the facts that came out in an interview. So the idea that it was just a personnel or an HR issue as opposed to a substantive reporting issue doesn't fly for me.
A number of publications, media companies, including the New York Times and the Washington Post and all the rest, have had to deal with these issues with news reporters not liking opinion content and vice versa and having messy fights about it on social media.
Right, but this wasn't a commentary about an opinion reporter. It was a reporter simply saying the argument that the election was stolen that was articulated on this broadcast was wrong. So, and then you're going to call for your colleague to be fired as a consequence of that? This is what I'm saying. I think almost he's in the worst possible position because his authentic beliefs, while somehow in some ways validating to many people who have been frustrated by the whole Stop the Steal narrative.
I don't know, maybe Fox agreed with you. They got rid of him, right? So
right, but the question is, now that he is no longer influenced in whatever way he was influenced by what Fox's financial decisions were, is he going to make the same kinds of decisions as he attempts to create his own new enterprise, potentially his own new show, where he's courting a same audience who also was interested in a Stop the Steal narrative? Or does he do a break and come out and be confrontational to that audience and confrontational to Donald Trump about fundamentally not believing that the election was stolen?
I think smart people know that Stop the Steal stuff is just like a dead end at this point, and Tucker's
but that's
smart
a different
enough
issue,
to
isn't it?
Realize that.
Robby?
Well, that's what I said. That's a different issue, whether it's right or not.
Yeah,
but
right. So the issue of strategically whether he should stick behind it is different from the issue of him as a human being and the ethics of saying one thing that he didn't believe in the context of Fox News. Now the question is he going to say his truth? Now that we, one, know his truth, and two, he's no longer in Fox, or does he continue to soft pedal the lie because that is the very thing that got him the ratings in the first instance? And it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. That's all I'm saying.
All right, more Rising right after this.